So this video is showing how to create a model and a schedule and some animations in Navisworks. And so the first thing you want to do is append the drawing, and you want to attach whatever drawing that you want to include into it. In this case, I have my master model Plant3D file, and so I'm just going to hit open, and it's going to open it in Navisworks. Over on the left-hand side, I have the selection tree. If it's not on, you can find it on the Home tab of the ribbon on the Selection Tree button, and it'll toggle it on and off. In Plant3D, if you have the lines, it'll automatically put them on the correct layer, and then you can select the lines based on the values there. So for this one, for the sample, I'm just going to take this part here and pretend that I am replacing it. And so I'm going to animate it, move it, and just do some basic stuff with it. So the first thing I want to do is just come down and create a schedule. And I can either create them manually, or I can come over here in the data sources and import in a schedule based on different values. So I'm just going to use CSV import. And so I'm just going to use this one. It's already been set up, and so I've got it there. So if I click refresh and rebuild the criteria tab, and then it's brought it in the schedule over here. So I've got a whole bunch of different tasks that I can then assign to it. I've got some start dates and some finish dates. And so I can then assign different things to the schedule. On the task type, I could have different tasks. So right now there's construct, demolish, and temporary. And if I want to configure them, I can go to the configure tab, and I can add a configuration. So maybe this is a preliminary. I can then set the start appearance to be none, and then how I want the end appearance and what color that I want it to be. And so you just select it from the list. Over here I can create appearance definitions to control the drop downs here. You just simply do the add, and maybe I want this one to be orange. I could then select the color by selecting it. It's all red. That looks like orange. Orange is red. I can control its transparency and how dark it's going to be. 0 is all the way, 100% is see-through. So I'm just going to do 10%. And then hit OK. And so that's how I can control the appearance styles. You can't save these you can't load them from another file. And so if you wanted to have that one for another one, I would just do a save as, and then save it as a starting point. And then when I wanted to create a new schedule, I'd open this one, remove the existing Navisworks data, and use that. So start for modeling, or whatever you want to call it. And then I can hit save. So on the task types, I would just simply give it the type of construction or whatever type that I have on it. I can then attach data to it. And so what you want to do is you want to select what you want included on it. And so I'm going to do the demolish here. And so I'm going to select these values here. And so that would be part of it. I can then right click and I can attach the current selection. So now when I run the schedule in Simulate, whatever the construct is, it's going to follow it based on the schedule. So right now it's just looking at this view. You can see it got a little bit lighter. Actually, that's because it was selected. Let's go back. Stop. Let's try it again. So you can see where it's starting to show, and then once it finishes the demolish, it's going to be hidden because it's going away. And so that's how we can assign tasks to an item. And then we can go to Simulate and view it. And so we did schedule, we did configure, and we did simulate. So I may want to animate items in here. If I see right now there's not all of the columns available, if I want to show more columns, I can change it to extended or custom. I'm going to do custom right now, and it's going to show additional stuff. You notice that here's the animation that we can create, and we can assign an animation to it. But right now I don't have any animations in this model. So to create an animation, I'd go to the Animator tab. There's only one colorful button on this one. It's supposed to draw your eye to it, and that's this green button down here at the bottom. And so here I could click on the Add Scene, and so I could move it over here. And so I'm just going to call this Remove Piping, and you can call it whatever you want. Once I do that, I want to add an animation, and I see that I don't have any there, and that's because I don't have anything selected. So then I'd want to come in and select it, what I want to animate, and now when I do that, I can add an animation set from the current selection. I can also create selection sets over here, and I would do that from the dialog box up here, and I could manage the sets. I could save the set, and this is pipe removable. And so when I select it, so I'm going to select another one, and then when I select it, it's automatically going to select that selection set. And so I'm just going to use the selection set. Okay, I'm going to add from current selection. And so it's going to add that animation selection set, and I'm just going to give it a generic name. I can have it active, and then I can loop it. So if I wanted to have it come back, I can loop it. Actually, loop is just continuing it on, and then ping pong is having it come back. So I want to create what are called keyframes, and keyframes is this button here, and so I can capture the keyframe. Once I do the capture, it'll create a little diamond there, and that's going to be from 0. I can then move it over a little bit. I can then move the items, and I can use that using, so if I select over here, the move is here, and that's going to open up the widget for the move. There's also rotate, and then there's also scale. In this case, I want to move it. If you hover over one of the arrows, it'll become highlighted in yellow. That'll make it active. If I want to move it along a plane, I select one of the plane objects. But in this case, I want to move it up. And so I'll just select it and move it up a little bit out of screen. And then I'll create a new keyframe by clicking on the keyframe button. And then I've got another one. If I want to do some additional stuff with it, I can just change the time frame. And maybe I want to come in and rotate it. Maybe I want to just pick one of these, and I can rotate the pipes. And maybe I want to create a keyframe. And then maybe I want to move it up. So I'll move it up a little bit more. I want to change the time frame before I do that. And so I'll move it up a little bit more, and then I'll capture another keyframe. And so now if I hit, if I move it back here, I can then hit play. Oops. I can hit play, and I can see what the animation looks like. And so I'm rotating it and then moving it up. If I want it to come back, I can just do ping pong, and all that's going to do is mirror what I already have there. And so I'm going to start from 0, hit play. It's going to go up. And then it's going to bring it back down. All right, so I can create multiple animation sets. So if I want to add in another one in, maybe after that's done, I want to move the tank. And so I could right click here. I could add animation set from current selection. And so now I've got the tank, and I can have the tank do additional stuff. So you just want to create scenes and then add animation sets within it. If you want stuff to happen at different times, I could just come in here. Maybe I want my keyframe to start here for the tank, and so I just click on keyframe. It's going to capture the keyframe for the tank. Maybe I want to move it up a little bit. Actually, I want to move the timeline first, and then come up and create the keyframe. And in this case, I don't want it to come back down, so I just want to keep it up there. And so that's going to be my video. So the tank's going to stay up there. All right, at this point, I could create an animation based on this or export out that animation. But in this case, I want to assign it to my timeliner. And so I'd click on the timeliner and I'd pick the scene, or I could pick the individual action sets. In this case, I want to do a remove piping. And so now when I run it, it's going to use the remove reboiler for it. So if I go to simulate, just make sure I don't have any selected. Actually, I want to add in the tank. And so I right click and append that current selection. So now both the tank and the pipes are going to be associated with this. And so now I can go back to simulate, hit play. And then once the demo starts, it's kind of faded back, so it's kind of hard to see, but the piping went down, now it's back down. And so it's just following what the demo was, or the demolition task. And so maybe the demolish I want to make a little bit easier to see. Maybe do green and red. And now let's see if it looks a little bit better. Yep, there it goes. Then it comes back, and so it's going to go for the duration of it, and then since it was set to red when it was done, so that's there. And when you're done with it, you just want to make sure you go to another tab while you're working in it. You can create animations by using the saved viewpoints. You can right click and add animation. And so this is going to be a looking through model. And so you just pretty much add in viewpoints to it. So I'm going to save my current viewpoint. So I'm going to go to the viewpoint tab and I'm going to click save that viewpoint. It's going to be view 1. You can then zoom in, save the viewport. So make sure that I save it within that looking one. Maybe I want to rotate it, get another keyframe, save that viewpoint. Oops. Maybe I want to come over here, save that viewpoint. And so now that I have the animation, I can then hit play to view it, and then I can see what the animation is. And so it's going to use those keyframes to move around the model. So I'm just going to stop it. I can then go to simulate, and if I go to settings, let's say I want to use the animation link, and so I can use the save viewports in animation, and so now it's going to use those values here. On the playback duration, I can tell it how long to last. So right now it's going to be 20 seconds, and so I'm going to hit OK. And so now I can try to see what it looks like, and so it's going to follow the animation and show me the schedule as it moves around. And so we got that there. You can also create regular viewpoints outside of it, and that's just going to be a view for it. So we got tasks, we got data sources, and we've got all that stuff. Oops. And so once we are done with that, we can hit the export animation if you wanted to. We just want to use the presenter type. If you want a little bit more detailed, you can use the Autodesk one. You give it a output, so Windows AVI. You can also set some options on how you want it compressed, and then you can hit OK, and that's what it's going to export out to. And what else? That configure, data sources, selection sets. Selecting the entire thing by just selecting it. And then I could create another selection set. So this is line 06. Oops. And so we got there. So if you have stuff in here that you want to move, you can always just select and move it. I'm using the item tools, and you just click on move. This is separate from the animation move, in that it actually just moves it in the model, and that's going to be where it's located at in this model now. If you want to change it and set it back, you can just go back to the tools and hit reset transform, and it's going to be putting it right back into where it is. You can also draw some stuff, add tags, add comments, and view it. You can also see the properties of the objects in the properties window, so you can see what type of object it is, and you can unselect stuff. You can assign colors using presenter, and that'll present it. So maybe I don't want my tank to be white. I come in here, maybe I want it to be, let's do design and panders. Maybe I want it to be a checker style, and I can right click, and down below or off the screen you can do apply to selected materials, and it's going to apply that checker. If I hit escape, it's then going to provide that checker pattern to it. So now it's gray checkered instead of, I probably should have used a larger checker. We can also drag it out there, and so it's a little bit bigger. So maybe 12 inches, it's a little too small. Yep, that looks a little bit better. And so you can see the checker pattern. It kind of drags it all the way down there. You may want to use a different material style for that one. Maybe rotate it around so the checker's a little bit better displayed. And so that's how you can navigate some stuff in Navisworks. And then once you create your video, you can then bring it into Movie Maker. I'm just using this one because it's free. And then you can record a narration over the video. You can use it to just open up a project and just open up the videos to it. You can create captions, a title sequence, and you can come in here and give it a title, tell it how long to last, and then once you're ready, you can create an animation. You hit record, tell it what you want to do, and then once you're done, you can hit stop, and then it'll save that animation or the sound values there. And so now it's got the values there, and then I can hit play, tell it what you want to do, and then once you're done, you can hit stop. And then I can hear check and then it'll save. And then so that's how we can do it in Movie Maker. Then the last step is you can click on the YouTube output or any of the other types of output that you want, and then it'll put the video and the sound together, and then you can upload it to the cloud and maybe an iPad device, and then go out in the field or meetings and share the information. And so this is my basic YouTube video, Navisworks and Plant3D, doing some scheduling, textures, just some basic stuff.